the discovery became a mystery, with some wondering, had the bear been killed elsewhere and dumped here? Essentially, an autopsy will be performed as they try and figure out just what happened to this baby bear.
Would you believe me if I told you that bear had something to do with a presidential candidate? Also, yes, he's talking to Roseanne.
A woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car. I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking. Who thought this was a good idea. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park, and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So
it'll be funny for people.
Great idea. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station.
This is a NBC New York report from about 10 years ago, I believe. 10 years ago. A bear was found in Central Park, New York.
The discovery of a black bear by a dog walker just a few feet from Central Park's main jogging and bike path today was alarming and strange, especially for New Yorkers like Helen Zokanich, who's come here almost every day for decades. How unusual is that?
Very unusual. I've never seen a bear. I mean, I've lived in New York City all my life, and I've gone to Central Park with
Hello Kitty
dogs. I mean, I've never seen a bear.
Raccoons and other things, but not bears, lots of dogs.
The NYPD is investigating and quickly told us there are no reports of any bears missing from the Central Park Zoo, quashing the first theory from passers-by like the cyclists and pedicabs.
We have a little small zoo, but in the zoo we don't have a bear. Maybe escape from there, but
they're saying there's no animals missing from the zoo.
Right. It's a big surprise. I don't know.
The dog walker who found the cub told a member of the Central Park Conservancy, which runs Central Park. They called police. The Conservancy told News 4, whenever any wildlife is hurt or harmed, we are upset about it. But the discovery became a mystery, with some wondering, had the bear been killed elsewhere and dumped here?
If you can do that to an animal, why not to a human being?
More so wondering how it got here. I've never seen a bear here before.
Is that Marjorie Taylor Greene?
The wildlife officials tell us that the bear was removed in a bag and taken in a State Department of Environmental Conservation car up to Albany, where a necropsy, essentially an autopsy, will be performed as they try and figure out just what happened to this baby bear. In Central Park, Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
So I just played you that news report from 10 years ago about a bear being found in Central Park. Would you believe me if I told you that bear had something to do with a presidential candidate? Let's hear it from his mouth.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7. And then
also, yes, he's talking to Roseanne.
A woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and
Hayes, good evening.
The bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear.
Curious.
And it was very good.
Good evening.
And I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. And so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes. And saw a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought,
this is before the brain worms, isn't it, Flo?
I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking who thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So
It'll be funny for people.
great idea. So we went and did that, and we thought
Sappy, good evening.
it'd be amusing for whoever found it or something. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper, and I turned on the TV, and there was like a mile of yellow tape, and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And then there was some people on TV in tie-back suits with gloves on, lifting up the bike, and they were saying they're going to take this up to Albany to get a fingerprinted. And I was worried because my prints were all over that bike.
Wow.
The story died down after a while, and it stayed dead for a decade. And the New Yorker somehow found out about it.
Yeah, this is him getting ahead of it.
Big article on me, and that's one of the articles. So they asked me, the fact checker said, you know, it's going to be a bad story.
I think it's a great story, Chris.
I think it's a great story, someone said. Wow. So, by the way, this was him getting ahead of this. This was the video yesterday, that came out.